and things like that. My mother was a seamstress and made a lot of my clothes that we wore to school.
Tell us a little bit about how Louisville was when you was growing up.
Um, the neighborhood that I lived in, the streets weren't paved. They were mostly dirt and a little bit of gravel. But when I was 7, 8 years old, they blacktopped the streets and put in sewers. Um, must not have done that right because every time it rained hard, the sewers backed up and the water you couldn't drive through the road. Um, at that time, there were a lot of children in the neighborhood. You just went out and played, and you could ride your bicycles to the store, or you could go across the the streets and play in big fields, and you didn't have to worry about anybody. Our parents didn't worry about somebody taking us or hurting us or anything like that. It was a safer place. We could walk to the library. We could walk to the drugstore. We could walk to the grocery store, doing errands for our parents. We walked to church. We walked to school. Um, and you could walk by yourself. You didn't have to be afraid. It was a safer place than it is now. There was a big field not too far, and sometimes there would be 25 or 30 children from 10 to 15, 16 playing football or softball or something over in that field. So it was really a nice place to live.
Tell me about an historical event that really affected you the most.
I think that would have to be the assassination of John F. Kennedy. I was in the 7th grade. It was November 22nd, 1963. I went to a Catholic school, and someone came to the door, and the teacher went to the door, was outside for a few minutes, came back in and was crying. And she told us that our president, who was the first Catholic president, had been shot and that we were to go home. So we all left and we started going home, and they were working on the road. They were putting in a bridge or a viaduct for the train trestle. And for days we had heard this pounding where they were drilling, and it just kept pounding from daylight to dark. And those men down there would always holler at us when we walked by, and they asked us what we were doing, and I told them. I hollered and said, our president got shot. And they thought we were kidding. And I said, and somebody else in our group hollered, turn on your transistor radio, because that's what we had then. And we went on, and we said we're supposed to go home. We went on and crossed the street. Before we got across the street, they stopped. They stopped hitting the pylons. And by the time we got home, and my mother was sitting in front of the television, and my mother was crying. And I got home in time to see Walter Cronkite on CBS make the announcement that the president was dead. My sister was in the living room watching TV when Jack Ruby killed Oswald on live TV. I didn't see that, but I heard her scream. Um, we sat glued while the funeral procession was going on. Edit that. Procession was going on. I saw his son, his 3-year-old son. He was buried on his son's. He was buried on his son's birthday, November 25th. He was 3. Salute as he went by. It was horrible. It's something because we didn't know what was going to happen to the country. You
Well, thank you for your time.
know. Okay.